I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know everyone has questions and concerns, and so we want to get right into it. I want to also remind the public um, that the objective of this briefing is not to cause alarm or panic. It's to provide accurate information and help you to prepare if necessary. Okay, so I'm hoping that that message is very clear to the public. Please listen to our official reports, our official outlets here in Belize, and follow for updates. With that, I will jump right into it. We have with us here the Chief Met, Mr. Ronald Gordon. We have Ms. Tenille Hendy, who is the Principal Hydrologist. And we have Captain Daniel Mendez, who is the National Emergency Coordinator at Nemo. So I'll ask Mr. Gordon to go right into his presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Latina. Good morning, Belize. Good morning, members of
Just for the benefit of everybody, Miss from Nemo, I just want to make sure that all our media houses have permission to record because this is important for the entire country.
Yes, you have to request permission to do so, and we will admit you or we will accept that request. So please go ahead, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you. So once again, good morning. Can you confirm that you're seeing the National Met Service website on screen?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so starting from a local perspective, we have been monitoring this system very closely from the early parts of this week. We have been in constant communication with our partners in National Emergency Management Organization, Nemo, alerting to the possibility of a system developing over the Western Caribbean Sea. We have also provided regular updates via our website, which you're seeing on your screen at the moment. So I want to remind the audience this morning that there is a website, there is constant information being updated here. And so you can see here on the scroller, the latest on Tropical Depression number 19. We have also issued an excessive rainfall watch for the country based on the current rainfall projection. And also on our website, we issue forecasts for each municipality across this country on a daily basis. So there is information out there for the public, and I want to make that abundantly clear. There's also a radar, of course, which I'm going to bring up now. Well, it's functioning quite well. Latest imagery as of 8:53 this morning, showing bands of showers moving across the country. You can see the outer bands here from the tropical depression, and in the widest view, you can see the bands from tropical depression number 19, approaching the Gulf of Honduras. So again, our website is www.nms.gov.bz, where there is all the information you need to keep updated on tropical depression number 19. We also have our weather app, currently for Android phone. You can go to the Google Play and type in Belize Weather and download our mobile app, which carries all this information as well. We also have a Facebook page, which we constantly update with latest information. So for the public to know, we are providing updates constantly. Having said that, I will go to the tracking tool, which was developed in conjunction with Nemo for us to track these systems as they approach the country. That is also available on our website. So what you're seeing uploading here is our version of the tracking of tropical depression number 19. This, I believe, was based on information still from this morning at 6, which will be updated shortly with the latest information from 9 this morning. But at this point in time, you can see that from this tracking tool, there is a wide cone of uncertainty with where the center of tropical depression 19 would go, extending from south of Belize, actually, all the way up to northern Yucatan. There is also an indication of the probability of winds of tropical storm force reaching each area within 5 days. And up to this morning, the probability for Belize was less than 20%, right? That doesn't mean it won't happen. It means that within that period, based on that forecast, it was very low of us getting tropical storm force winds. Now we do know that the system is expected to intensify, and as such, it is quite likely that these will eventually move or closer to us, and the probability will increase of us getting tropical storm force winds. Next image I want to show is a broad satellite view across the entire Atlantic Basin, the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico. And of course, the feature of interest is in here where I am indicating with the cursor, which is of course tropical depression number 19. You can see some banding features developing across the Gulf of Honduras, which indicates that the system is becoming better organized as we speak. And before I proceed, I will want to update you with the latest 9 a.m. information. The system is at 15.7 degrees north, 82.6 west. It is moving to the west at 14 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 1,004 millibars and maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. Based on our calculation, that puts the system at 391 miles east by south of Belize City. Now, if you were to do an average and calculate distance divided by speed, that would bring the system in our area within 27 hours. However, the forecast is for the system to slow down, so that 14 mile per hour speed is not expected to be maintained. The forecast is for it to stall north of Honduras for at least 24 to 36 hours, and then eventually begin moving to the northwest into our area. Here I'm presenting a closer satellite imagery of the system, again showing the curved bands associated with the depression and areas of consolidated thunderstorms near the northeast coast of Honduras associated with the center. 15.7 is about somewhere here, and 82.6, so somewhere here if you can track correctly. So what you are seeing is that basically most of the deep convection are not near the center, which again would kind of indicate that it's not as strong, or it is not organizing as rapidly as a system that will become a hurricane. So currently it is still rather disorganized, but expected to become better organized. Having said that, let's move on to what the models are showing. This is the global forecast system, better known as the American model, initialized at midnight local time. And let's move forward in time. You can see the low pressure center around here, as we have indicated, near the northeast coast of Honduras and Nicaragua. If we forward in time, and let's go to 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, local time, you see a low here in this area, north of Honduras. Let's move forward another 24 hours. Now they have the low remaining there, but becoming much more disorganized. And this is because of land interaction. So because the system is moving so close to the coast of Honduras, this model is suggesting that it is going to weaken. You see these lines here, these are called isobars, or lines of equal pressure. The closer you see these together, the stronger the system. What you have noticed in the last 24 hours that I have advanced, these lines have moved further apart, indicating that the system is weakening because of land interaction. But interestingly, I want you to focus on Belize. You can see that even though it's a weaker system, there are bands of showers and thunderstorms affecting the country. These colors of deep blue towards purple are indicating heavy rainfall activity over, in this case, southern Belize. Let me advance further to 24 hours, and this will be Sunday morning, where it has a low pressure system centered roughly here off the coast of Belize, with rainfall again impacting the country. And I move forward once more, and by Sunday evening, you can see the low approaching the land and eventually moving across the land, and rains decreasing thereafter. This is one interpretation, one model's idea of what could potentially happen. Models are not gospel truth. They have inaccuracies, they have assumptions, So it's important that we use these with caution. Looking at the European model, another famous model, you can see that for this morning, it has the low precisely where, or more or less where it is actually is, which is northeast of Honduras, with several closed isobars and a pressure of 1,003 millibars, which is 1 millibar lower than what the Hurricane Center is estimating at the moment. If we proceed in time to 6 a.m. tomorrow, Friday, there is a stronger system off the northeast coast of the northern coast of Honduras, with pressure to about 9, I think 98 millibars, indicating some strengthening, but still very near the coast. Moving forward, you see it's not, although I'm moving forward, the frame forward, you notice that the low is staying where it is. That's the stall or the slowing down that is forecasted to occur, right? So you see it remaining pretty much where it is at the moment, even into Saturday morning. Still remaining there into Saturday evening, and eventually weakening slightly. You can see the pressure going up. That's because of land interaction. Eventually, you see it move across towards Belize with a pressure of about 1,003 millibars, which would indicate either a depression or maybe a weak tropical storm at this point in time from this particular model. And again, I caution, and well, for this case, this model is showing that to occur late Sunday evening. That would be 6 p.m. actually local time on Sunday evening. Models are not gospel truth. You have two models with two different solutions because, again, they have different assumptions. So I think it's important that we know these things and inform the public that whenever you see someone presenting a model, they are not presenting what exactly is going to occur. No forecast can be very precise or exact. And hence, again, and that's the reason why, of course, you have this uncertainty cone indicating that, yes, the depression is moving towards us, but there is a possibility it can go in either direction. However, the most likely scenario from this probability distribution is that it will move in the center. That's where the highest probability is. And as you move farther away from the center, the probability decreases. So there is a good chance that Belize, a very likely chance that Belize will be impacted by a tropical storm sometime on Sunday, late Sunday, possibly Monday morning. Timing is also variable because no one can predict exactly when. These models, again, are not perfect. So I need to make that emphatically clear. So what are the potential impact based on what I've presented? Rainfall. That's what the system is going to produce. So what you're seeing on the screen now is the rainfall accumulation predicted again by a model. So bear in mind that it doesn't have to be that exact value. But what you're seeing, these shades of orange into red indicate very high rainfall. And this is from 6 or midnight last night or this morning to about midnight on Monday. So accumulation over a 5-day period of about, I would say here, upwards of 10 inches of rainfall, possibly even higher across parts of Belize, and of course over Honduras where the system is stationary. So there will be significant rainfall from the system as indicated by these models. It could be potentially higher, it could be lower. These are model guidance, model estimates, but we need to be prepared for heavy rainfall. In terms of winds, like I said, the latest forecast actually takes it down even less. Yesterday evening, they were projecting it to make landfall with 70 mile per hour wind. It is down now to 50 mile per hour wind. For context, and I don't like to do this, but I will do it, Tropical Storm Nadine came ashore with 60 miles per hour wind. The current prediction is for this to come ashore at 50 mile per hour wind. I will repeat that intensity prediction can be off. So we need to bear in mind that the system could come ashore a bit stronger. And if it does come ashore as a 70 mile per hour tropical storm, that is only 5 miles or 4 miles actually lower than the threshold for a Category 1 hurricane. So the bottom line message, or what I want to leave here, I think I have taken all my time that I can take, is that yes, there is a very likely chance that the country would be impacted by a tropical system. Currently, we expect it to be a tropical storm. I would not venture into landfall location specifically, but the highest probability is that it will make landfall on the country of Belize. And in terms of timing, this is expected to occur late Sunday into Monday. However, our residents should not be focusing on the exact timing of landfall for this particular system, as there will be rainfall well ahead of it, as we're already seeing happening. So I will leave it at that and hand over now to the moderator. Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Mr. Gordon. That was a really good presentation. I'm hoping that sharing the models give a clearer understanding for the public. Ms. Tennille, please go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, Belize. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of the press conference. Let me just start by giving you an update on the flooding situation in Belize. I know everyone is interested. I just needed to confirm that you can see my screen that I'm sharing.
Yes, I can.
Okay, so this is the update at 9 a.m. this morning based on the flooding. We do have a flood warning still in effect for the Rio Hondo, Macal, Mopan, and Belize rivers. Some of the roads in the north are still impassable. As we move to Region 7, you can see that even though it's at flood stage levels, it is decreasing at the moment. In Region 9, we have the Mopan and the Belize rivers are still at bank full or flood stage, and the three dam facilities the spillways are still active. A departure from the flood forecast issued yesterday is that we're now seeing that the Sibun River is exhibiting or reflecting increasing above normal levels. For the remainder of the country, it is basically the same as yesterday. We're seeing above normal levels in some areas, and we do expect with rainfall that this situation will change. Moving towards now to our flash flooding platform, we're seeing that the screen that you're seeing is the soil moisture at this current time step for the country. We're seeing that it's not too wet at the moment. Usually when these micro watersheds are in the blue area, it means that it's very saturated or nearly saturated, and the conditions would be favorable for flash flooding to occur. In the 1 hour time step, we're not seeing any indications at the moment for any flash flooding to occur. As well as in the 3 hour time step, we're seeing a little departure here in the central region with the Sibun River, as I indicated before, and some areas in the upper Maya Mountains having increased intensities. As we move into the 6 hour time period, we're seeing that dissipate a little bit. It's not the same. But as I want to echo Chief Met's position, these are models. They are based on a living, moving, breathing environment, and it can change. We monitor this platform hourly, and we rerun the models as we do our forecast throughout the day. Looking ahead into the outlook for our stream flow, we're noticing on this stream that most of the streams, as per the flood forecast, is just showing above level conditions, but this will change with the introduction of the rainfall. Moving into what is expected based on the current time step of TD, with the estimated accumulation of 10 inches of rainfall over a 5-day period, what we can expect that we will be seeing flooding in those areas that will be affected. The areas that are already flooded, if you receive additional rainfall, we can see the extent widening in these areas, and when it cannot what we say spread out anymore, the extent it will go deeper. So we might see an increase in the flood level height, or the height of the water in your area. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Ms. Tennille. Captain Mendez?
Good morning. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much. We at the National Emergency Management Organization continue to receive a guidance and advice from our partners, the National Meteorological Service and the National Hydrological Service. And as has been shown to you, we are preparing similarly. So we have been preparing at Nemo for the potential of this system to impact us. So, in what we have been doing is all of our emergency operation centers across the country are currently being prepared. That means that the emergency committees are meeting today in advance to discuss any operational plans or needs that they require. We will continue to monitor this system as it advances, and we are preparing to respond as required. As indicated by the Met Service, Nemo is preparing for high rainfall and strong winds, which may result in potential flooding in parts of the country, as has been highlighted before. So I just wanted to let the country know that Nemo has actually been in continuous operations over the past few weeks. We have been providing support to flood-prone areas, and let me share you some examples of these. Currently, we are supporting two areas that are currently being impacted by flood. These are the villages of San Roman on the Rio Hondo and San Antonio. As you are aware, that these areas are currently impassable by road. So we have been providing support to those. Currently, what I'm showing you is a satellite image that was taken a few days ago. Note that this is older imagery. It is very difficult to get good or recent imagery because of different cloud covers, which make it almost impossible for us to see. But what this is showing you is the as of November the 2nd, the water levels in the along the Rio Hondo. So we are currently supporting boat operations in the Rio San Antonio area, where residents are ferried across this flooded area highlighted in blue by boat. In the San Roman area, you will also note that the darker areas are flood areas that are currently underwater via a boat that is provided by the Belize Defense Force and also by a Belize Defense Force truck, which is also ferrying residents across these flooded areas. Currently, we're also monitoring the increasing levels in the village of Douglas. There are currently 2 families in shelter there. And as I stated before, in San Roman and Santa Cruz area, we are continuing the support of ferrying of workers and students utilizing BDF trucks and boats. I just want to reiterate that as Tropical Depression 19 advances, the importance of continuous planning remains. We are still in a hurricane season, and it's still a very active season. People, all residents, all interests across the country need to remain prepared. Particularly persons living in flood-prone areas need to keep on monitoring the system and to be prepared to take action if necessary. Again, we have been in operation. Nemo is actually an entire system. And so we at the Nemo Secretariat have been providing support and guidance to the system, but the entire system, which is basically all of government and our partners, are prepared to respond to the effects of Tropical Depression 19. We are preparing, and we are going to be doing everything we can to address any potential issues. With that, I conclude, and I will hand over back to our moderator. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. And I like that your presentation had on the last slide the district coordinator's contact information. So you can also find those on our NEMA page, all district coordinators' phone number and where their location is on that image on the NEMA page. You'll also see some of the images that Mr. Mendez was talking about, or some videos of all the areas that are currently affected by that localized flooding and the operations that are currently happening there. So please follow the page as well to see some of those operations and what's been happening, what's been on the ground. We now open this session to the media for any questions that you may have for our presenters.
Well, I do have one. This is Elmer from CTV3 News in Orange Walk. I made as much coverage of the last storm we had here in Corozal, though it landed south of Belize district. In Corozal, we did have some serious effects. And in the north, Corozal and Orange Walk residents do look on CTV3 for the latest information. And the last time, though, the Nemo director had no control of whether or not to close any business, what he did say was something indirectly. So this time around, I want to ask whether or not there will be something different. Will there be a closure of business? Because I understand that this storm, from what I've been seeing online and from different sources, this storm seems to be something not really coordinated, and nobody knows really what to forecast. But in that same, aspect, I want to ask whether or not Nemo will have a direct command of closing business until the storm is past or not. And I understand that business needs to be open to make money and people need to be employed. But one life represents a family and one family represents a community. And so I just wanted to get a comment from Nemo based on that.
Okay. So your my connection is a bit broken, but I think the question really is
Sorry, Mr. Mendes.
will there be guidance provided? It is too early for me to make that recommendation. Yes. Yes, Ms. Tina.
I just want to cross-check with the media if you guys are hearing Mr. Mendes clearly, because you're breaking on my end as well.
Mr. Mendes breaking up.
Okay. So please go ahead, Mr. Mendes.
Okay. So like I said, it's at this point it is too early for us to make that determination. We will keep on monitoring with the National Meteorological Service, and we will be guided by their advice.
Sir, you're breaking up.
We will make the best advice we can to protect and to support people as necessary. So we will do everything we can to provide good advice. In the last storm, yes, every storm is different. Every storm is unique. It happened so fast that we could not make those determinations. But we will be guided by the advice of the Met Service, and we will try our best to balance those needs. I do need to understand there's a need to keep business open, but at the same time, as the reporter had said previously, every life is important, and we are trying our best to find that balance. So I hope I was able to answer that question in a satisfactory manner.
Thank you, Mr. Mendes. And in that same line, I also wanted to ask this. For the last 2 or 3 different systems that has affected Belize, we've been having trouble getting updated information from our local Nemo offices. In terms of Corozal, which was the last storm that hit us directly, and we had most of the effects of that storm, Dean, we had 0 information from the Nemo office in Corozal. And it was all due because of protocols. According to what my understanding was, the person in charge of the North, without mentioning names, Orinjua person could not allow Corozal office to give us updated information, which is what people expect from the media houses, to get updated information. Can that change? Is that protocol something that should be revisited when a system is happening and directly hitting us? Everybody needs to know information. And I think, in my humble opinion as a journalist, we are not there. It used to be different where we can get the information. And I understand we don't want to panic people, but everybody wants to know what is happening in order to make decisions. Again, last time, Nadine, we had no information from our local offices in Corozal in terms of Nemo. I just wanted to know whether or not that's going to change this time. People expect the media houses to report updated and precise information.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Clearly, that's something that needs to be addressed, and it's an area that had already been expressed to me by others. It's an area that we will be revisiting and ensure that we'll be able to provide more information. So we will be working with our district coordinators to ensure that information is provided to you as necessary.
And I just wanted to revisit your last answer, sir, because you were breaking up. I know every storm is different, but like I said, people need to get to work. You get forecasts, you have information, but the last time you did not make a command in terms of closing business when a storm was hitting us. In fact, Nemo made a comment or a statement after the fact, after a storm hit Belize. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Yes, like I said, it's an area that needs to be discussed. We at Nemo do not have the overall authority to just say businesses must close. This is a major decision that needs to be addressed at the highest levels, and so we work at Nemo on the advice of the National Met Service, as I said, and National Hydrological Service, in order to do the best we can to protect people. At the same time, I do understand that the business community does have a need to keep businesses going as long as possible. I keep saying that every source system is different, every system is unique, but there is always that need to balance safety and business keep on going. So we will continue to provide advice as best as possible. I will not venture to say that in every storm, no matter what the size, that businesses must close. Everyone is unique, and to both the Republic and to the business.
I don't know if you can hear
Okay.
Mr. Mendez, but
Thank
you're
you.
really breaking up.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we please allow the other reporters to ask their questions as well while Mr. Mendez sort out his connectivity problems? Can
I'll
we
try to infringe on the other reporters, but I still did not get a clear indication from
Okay.
Mr. Mendez whether or not
we
we will
thank
get a
you
clear
so much.
indication.
We will come back to you. Thank you. Can we ask Jose Sanchez to please go ahead?
Yes, morning. Thank you. Specifically, I understand what they're saying about not having businesses closed, but how when it comes to travel, there are people
again, it is not a precise, it is balance. So we
I would recommend, hi, good morning, it's Marisol. I would recommend that because Mr. Mendez does not have a stable connection, for him to turn off his camera, and we're just gonna have to do with audio.
Thank you for that, Marisol. Mr. Mendez, we can try that, please. Please go ahead, Jose.
Yes, regards to, for example, international travel, you know, our airports and our borders are very fluid and people are traveling. So delays can occur if the airport or the borders are temporarily closed. So it's about making recommendations to people. Should they travel earlier? Should they travel later? Something must be done in relation to when it comes to our borders and travel for flights, for example. So is there any recommendation for that, being that you're saying we're looking at a Sunday night into Monday morning, you know, and are we and my second question is also when it comes to the track, we're saying we're going to be impacted. I think Mr. Gordon said a possibly 50-mile-per-hour winds. Can the track change at this point, and can the forecast be increased for perhaps a category 1? I mean, what is our most likely best case scenarios and worst likely scenarios as well? Those are my questions.
I will take that one first, given that Mr. Mendez perhaps is not, I don't know if his connection has improved, but the last one is related to meteorology, so let me take that. There is no exact track, Jose. As you saw, there's a cone, right? So it means that the system center can pass anywhere within that cone. As I had indicated, of course, it's a probability distribution, so the highest probability is in the center of that cone, which most people focus on. But that's not 100%. If it was 100%, we wouldn't have a cone. We would have a line showing you that I'm sure that that's going there. So it can change. That's the long and short answer. It can change. However, it's most likely to affect and impact the country somewhere in the center of that particular cone. In terms of intensity, again, that is also not as certain. One of the factors that could prevent further strengthening is interaction with land, as I showed. The system is forecast to move very near to the coast of Honduras, and if it jogs even a bit south into the mainland Honduras, it will weaken further. However, if it remains offshore, then it will be a bit stronger. So there is still some variance within that intensity forecast. Currently, the forecast is for it to come ashore as a 50-mile-per-hour storm, and that's down from yesterday when they had it at 70. So it's trending downward because that means that more of the models are showing it weakening over land in Honduras. That could.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The extreme worst case scenario would be a. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Gordon.
Oh, I think I wonder if I was speaking to myself.
No.
Yeah, the extreme worst case scenario, which is outside of the forecast right now, is perhaps a category 1 hurricane. We're not seeing that, but that's the extreme worst. Currently, it's at 50 miles per hour, so that's the what we're expecting. Best case, it weakens further over Honduras and comes across as a depression and just be a rainfall producer. But important to note, rain is a significant hazard. If we get 10 to 15 inches of rainfall, that could cause significant flooding across this country. And it's important for persons to know that the main fatalities from tropical systems is not the wind, it's actually the water. So be prepared. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gordon. Can we have a question from Aaron and then we move to Miss Maria?
Thanks. Good morning. Your news breaking Belize news. Just to piggyback on Jose's question, Mr. Chief Met, we're aware that we're in the general zone of unpredictability and uncertainty with regard to this system. When will we know for sure? I think you said in terms of the current forecast track and the current position that we're in somewhere between 25 and 30 hours. We'll know for sure. Do we expect that to change any? So that would put us, we're now almost at 10 o'clock local time. That would put us more or less around Friday evening into Saturday morning. are we confident that we'll know for sure by that point what to expect and when?
So I think you kind of confuse two things that I've said. I did the calculation from where the center is to where Belize City is, and I think it came up to like 300 and something miles. And I said if the system continued moving with that same speed, then that would have it here in 27 hours. But then I said a big however, it is expected to slow down over northern Honduras, and therefore it will not come in at that speed and will potentially impact us late Sunday evening. And that's the current forecast.
Okay.
Let me continue, please. I want to make it also clear that yesterday, the forecast was suggesting the system coming ashore on Monday. Now, the models have changed and have it coming in late Sunday. These are things that we advise the public always. Forecast changes from time to time. The weather is dynamic, it is fluid. Things change. As the models get more information, they make different forecasts and hopefully more accurate forecasts. So we need to keep in tune, we need to keep updated, and that is precisely why we keep updating our website every 6 hours with the latest information in regards to this system. And of course, given that we are entering into the phase of the emergency now, we will be making constant contact with Nemo. Nemo will be producing these advisories, informing the public of whatever changes occur with these systems so that people can prepare adequately. I see and notice that my internet is unstable. I hope I'm not breaking up as well.
No, you're not. Thanks very much. I appreciate the clarification.
Thank you for that. Miss Maria?
Yes, good morning, everybody. One, I want to reiterate that clarity is needed as to is it serious enough to send employees home? Because it also made a comment from Mr. Mendes that Nemo did not have the authority to close businesses. Then who does? Because in the community I am, local government was ordering people closed, or the police were, and then it was quite a confusion in several instances. So when does that happen, and can there be clarity, as has been asked before? The other thing with language, the last time it was strange to me that it was mentioned that low tropical storm, it would be like a low-grade tropical storm. So I understand the need to not alarm the public, but have we moved away from saying prepare for the worst and hope for the best, as we used to once upon a time? So if it's a tropical storm, it's hard to judge, because then people don't take it seriously. And what was observed in the last instance with Nadine was that at the worst of the storm, that's when people realized that they should have prepared for the worst and were out trying to secure boats and other equipment, right? So could there be clarity in language too as we go ahead? And then if it is only rain, and if it is only a tropical storm, at what point would shelters be open, if they would be open for something low grade?
Okay, thank you. So I will address the last question first. Again, the shelters will be open as necessary, and this is one of the actions that each district committee makes on their own. The EOCs are meeting, they understand the different peculiarities of their own districts. And so when there is a need to open the shelters, these will be open and these will be made known to the public. In terms of determining the closure of business, these are major conversations that need to be had. While I say I don't have the final say, that does not mean that I am not providing advice to the chairman of Nemo, who is the Prime Minister. So these are major determinations that need to be made. Like I said, there always a need to try to find a balance between public safety and the need to keep things going. We did see that happening in Tropical Storm Nadine. We did our best to make those known. The decision was this was a very quick storm, and so it was very challenging for us to be able to keep that to provide that advice. That said, we will continue to take the lessons that we have learned, to make sure that we improve for the next event. And so we have taken those lessons and we will be implementing those. So we should be providing better information to the public in the next for this system. And then there was a question there for the Met service, I believe.
Okay, is there any more questions?
Yes, indeed, I had asked for clarity in when we informing the public as to whether a low grade tropical storm or whether we should, still ask people to prepare for the worst or not.
Okay.
Apologies.
And expect the best, as we usually say,
Yes. Apologies that I got kicked out. I am back. This is a very interesting point that you make. You know something? Prepare for the worst is always good to say, but we know that we need to balance reality with what we can afford. I mean, prepare for the worst. You could expand that to anything. The worst could be a category 5. Can we afford to take actions for a category 5? I think that's what we call disaster risk management. You have to manage your risk based on the information we have. We provide information based on science. We don't try to sensationalize or make the issue bigger than it is, but we try to provide the most accurate information so that people can make informed decisions.
Jules, please go ahead.
I thank you. Good morning. I don't know if it's called managing risk of water taxes running when the storm they make landfall. I am appalled at what I perceive as relative indifference and indecisiveness. I don't know if it's based on the fact that the Prime Minister scolded everybody when the storm watch was declared, or the tropical storm warning was extended from Belize to Corozal, when that storm landed up by Bulum. Can't remember the name, forgive me. But I think that clear messaging, I know this is not a forum for debate, but I think that a number of the previous question askers were asking just for clarity, because we no longer know what's the threshold for when we say, all right, well, people can't work. So I think that is the question they're asking. So if I could have some clarity on that, at what point is it safe that we'll say that water taxis should not travel? Because Port Authority didn't send out the warning till midday, and think maybe travel 11 o'clock, the storm made landfall around that time. And if I may also ask, are you all able to speak about the particular phenomenon that's affecting the system, where it is just basically meandering out on the northern coast of Honduras, that it's really it doesn't have anything to steer it, I guess, because of the time of year. But we've never had a storm this late in November in our recorded history. And if you're able to speak about the unusual nature of this storm and why it is so hard to predict.
Okay, so thank you for the question, Jules. I'll take the one that is related to meteorology and not the one that is related to disaster risk management. I think I overstepped my my field of expertise. But just to repeat, the Met Service was the one who made that categorization of low-end tropical storm, and that's based on what we expected to occur, and which is precisely what occurred. Not to be saying that we are always accurate, but the forecast for these systems have increased, with the confidence has increased tremendously over the years, and I think the public is just catching on to it. There was the era that we used to evacuate an entire island just for a minor threat, but we are beyond there. The science has improved significantly that we can now determine that to some level of confidence that these systems are coming at a certain threshold. I don't always, and I always say there's uncertainty. So currently the 50 mile per hour prediction is still within some level of uncertainty. We're looking perhaps from a depression even to a category 1 into a range of uncertainty. But I personally would not take drastic actions for every system, every X that appears on the map out there. And but in terms of your question, let's get back to that. In relation to the system, USA is currently stalled, which is not true. It is moving at 15 miles per hour, so let's be accurate in terms of what we say. It is forecast to stall, though. So I guess that's what you're inferring.
I said
It is
meander,
forecast,
but it's fine.
or you said meandering. You said it is meandering. It is not meandering, sir. It is moving to the west at 15 miles per hour. It is forecast to stall, and that is because there's a ridge to the north of it, which is forecast to break down. So the ridge is steering it to the west at the moment at a fairly good clip of about 15 miles per hour. That is forecast to break down, and then it will go in an area of weak steering currents. Not sure where it wants to go. Thereafter, another ridge is going to build up and take it more to the northwest into our area. So that's what is affecting the motion of it at the moment. In regards to the peculiarity of it forming this late in the season, not unprecedented, but yes, we know for the most part systems do not form this late, especially for us. However, we do know that we're transitioning, or if not already in La Nina conditions, which typically means that you would have a more active end of season, which is what we are seeing. Also, another favorable factor is warm ocean waters. The last I looked, we were at about 29 degrees Celsius, which is 1 degree Celsius above normal in our area. So those factors are contributing to this particular late season tropical storm, which is expected to become a tropical storm, Sarah. Thank you.
So if I could just compress it, things working in our favor are, and sadly against Honduras, are the contact with the landmass, the northern Honduras landmass, and also working in our favor is that it may make landfall earlier than originally forecast, and these are all forecasts, thus uncertain, but I think the earlier it makes landfall, wherever it does, the less chance it has to strengthen. Am I correct?
Yes, the more it stays over that area and the closer it goes into Honduras or closer to the shore it will interact with land. So again, I believe most persons are aware, but just to inform those that are not, tropical cyclones cannot survive over land. They get their energy from warm ocean waters. That's basically the energy source. So if the center or if part of the system is impacted by land, then it will weaken or prevent, if not weaken, at least prevent further strengthening, and that's what we're looking at. So the longer it stays there, it is the better for us. Of course, we want to be compassionate and bear in mind that there are persons that who are going to be affected, or neighbors in Honduras. Certainly, we want to consider them, but it is unfortunate that it will start over that area and produce significant rainfall, which could lead to hazardous and dangerous conditions for them.
Thank you. And just also just want to comment on the previous question. Again, I would like to remind that Nemo is a system. Nemo is not one office that controls every single thing. There are different committees that make up the Nemo structure. So the Nemo Secretariat is based in Belmopan, and this is where we provide the guidance. But the actual work of the Nemo system itself is conducted by different departments, different committees, and different agencies. And so, of course, obviously, there were some errors that were made. But Nemo is a learning system. those were immediately addressed, and we can assure that the system has made the changes, and that we will continue to provide the necessary guidance. The system, the different components of the system do learn, and we are going to be working on those to ensure that these errors are not made in the future.
Thank you, Mr. Mendez. I see a hand up from AA. I'm not too certain who that is. Please go ahead. And then we have Paul.
Hi, good morning. That would be me. So a few things, I think in terms of what we're telling people, something that has been repeated so many times before, I think hasn't been said today, and I think it's worth mentioning that everyone must assess their risk. So if you feel that you are in a flood-prone area and your house cannot withstand the kind of system that we're expecting, then you need to conduct that assessment. It goes back to your hurricane preparedness plan. But I wanted to ask a couple of things. One for the Chief Met, if you could just speak a little bit in more detail in relation to the ocean temperatures, and then in relation to what we keep harping on about travel and business closure. Is there a time by when, I don't know if Nemo looks at it this way, like, okay, we expect landfall, say 9 p.m. Sunday, or between a window of 9 and midnight. So will it be clear, or can you be clear and say, okay, we will indicate to the public by 9 a.m. Sunday morning that you need to close businesses, or by 6 p.m. this Saturday? I'm not sure if that is how it works. And then when it comes to travel, a similar thing, because what we're expecting is a tropical storm. Do we say, okay, for that we will not have any prohibitions on international travel? And so I recall the last time that was stated that international travel flights and so could still continue. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get the question for Met, Marisol. Can you please repeat that one?
It was just about more details in relation to ocean temperature and how that would impact the system.
Oh, thank you. So certainly, like I said, we are observing that currently we are about 1 degree Celsius above normal. By the way, the threshold for tropical systems to even form is 26 degrees Celsius. We are at 29, so we're well above that threshold. But in terms of what is normal for this time of the year, it is about 28 Celsius. By November, we start getting our waters cooling down, and currently we are at 29, so we're about 1 degree Celsius above normal. And like I mentioned before, these systems feed or get their energy source from warm ocean waters. So certainly that's a favorable factor. But apart from that, the atmospheric factors are also favorable. There's light wind shear, and therefore there's a lot of moisture. So we have about 3 favorable factors for it to intensify. The only hindering factor is interaction with land over Honduras. That's the main factor hindering it, that we expect it to not develop as much as it could. But I don't want to fail to mention what you said in the beginning, which is to me is important, because that's precisely what I was trying to say. So I'm glad that you brought it up. I think persons need to manage their own risk, depending on what they are, how vulnerable they are. So certainly, I think that's a very good point you made so eloquently. I will leave the rest for Mr. Mendez. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I think the question was on the airport remaining open. This determination is made with the advice of the Civil Aviation Department of Civil Aviation. They are the ones who understand the safe operational thresholds for aircraft. Clearly, they will advise us about what that is. We at the Nemo Secretariat are not the experts in aviation. So we rely on the expert advice coming from them. Similarly, when it comes to operation of vessels at sea, we rely on the expertise of the port authority. Again, we're not the experts on that. We try to coordinate as best as possible with everyone using the advice that is coming from the National Met Service. And then this is what is put out to the public. Everything is done within the safe operational thresholds that is determined by these expert agencies.
Thank you, Marisol. We will close off with one last question from Paul. Please go
Hi.
ahead.
Yes, good morning. So just a two-part question. One for the Met Service and the other one for hydrology. We've been seeing that over the course of the last few days, the forecast models have had this system continue to shift farther west and south as the time goes as the days go by. Mr. Gordon, what's the probability of this systems shifting farther south west over the next few days and completely missing Belize in terms of tropical storm impact in a similar way that Mitch did back a couple of decades ago? And then second question for hydrology, as it pertains to the incessant rains that Honduras...
Paul, sorry to interrupt you. Miss Tenille lost connectivity. So she's asking for anyone who has questions for her or for hydrology department to contact her at 880-0667 extension 4.
All right. So then just for Mr. Gordon, the probability of the system shifting farther south, similar to how Mitch did, I think that's one of the conversations I see happening across platforms as well. And then you said the worst case scenario would be category 1 hurricane. What would have to be the conditions or that would lead to something like that? Can you say at this time?
Thank you, Paul. Excellent questions. First of all, yes, and I want to take your point to mention something. You said that a few days ago, the models were showing the system shifting further to the right, and moving towards Cuba. And that was just about 2 days ago. And I say this, I don't like to make a lot of commentary, but I say this because we are always being asked to make a declaration, to go on the media, to do interviews for systems that are well outside of our area. And we hesitate because of the same precise fact. If I came 2 days ago and I had told the Belizean public that there is a hurricane, we don't need to worry, it's going to go to Cuba, I'll be back here now having to correct that statement. And that is precisely why we wait for us to have more information that is reliably accurate before we present and make and raise the alarm or raise alert to the public. In relation to your second question, or to your question about whether the probability of going further south, there's a chance. It is not zero. And I will repeat, the probability cone is there for everyone to see. It does have it going south of Belize in part of the cone. However, like I said before, the center of that cone is where the highest probability is that the system will go. So there is a map also, that a graphic that is generated that shows about 5 to 10% chance of tropical storm force winds like south of Belize. And you could use an estimation to see that, okay, that's perhaps the chance that it would go in that direction. But things change, like I said, the weather is dynamic. Whenever we provide new information, whenever the National Met Service of Belize, which has been called upon from the National Hurricane Center to do special radio sounds, to send up balloon every 6 hours, whenever we send that information into the models, they are updated and the forecast changes because of new information. So things are dynamic. In regards to the intensification, I give myself a broad window, down to a depression or up to a category 1, possibly. Why? And then you ask me what would make it become a category 1. If it does not move as close to the coast of Honduras, if it does not go into Honduras, or if it moves a bit farther away from the coast, there will be less land interaction, meaning that the system will have more time to be absorbing warm ocean waters through evaporation. And that heating is the energy source that actually would cause it to intensify further. And by the time it gets here, it could be a bit stronger. So those are the factors that would lead for would cause it to be a bit stronger when it gets here. I want to close off because I don't know if I'll have another opportunity to do so, to say that there is no way, and I want to make it abundantly clear, there is no way we are done playing this tropical cyclone. We are not done playing it. We are advising residents based on the information that we have, scientific information, not based on sensationalism, not based on anything else, but based on the information that we have. We are not done playing. We are telling residents to be monitoring, to be careful, to be prepared, to manage your risk according to your vulnerability, and to take action accordingly. We are predicting a tropical storm of about 50 miles per hour. It could be more or less. We are predicting a significant amount of rainfall that will lead to flooding. Residents across the country know the hazards that we are expecting. And of course, we will be updating constantly because, as I said, things changes. So lastly, we are not done playing this system in any way. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Met, and thank you, media and Belize, for tuning in. I hope that there was some clarity, like Mr. Mendez and Mr. Gordon rightfully mentioned. Please continue to prepare and to follow the local authorities for any updates that we share. With that, we will say, have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you and be safe.
Thank you.